Welcome back to another episode of The She Show with your hosts,
Lulu.
and Josie. And today, it's all about that summer vibe.
That's right.
Feeling it.
It's summertime, summertime. Ooh, oh God, I can't sing.
Summertime.
That's like from the 60s, right?
I think
Summertime.
so. I've heard it in commercials, and I think I've heard it in some of my children's cartoons. They brought it
It's
back.
amazing how much 60s, 50s, 60s music is used in commercials to this day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't hear a lot of, some disco songs, but, I don't hear a lot of rap in commercials. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, not so often.
A lot of 60s music.
The 60s is good. The Beach Boy vibe, I love it.
All of it.
I love it. It's good
It's cool.
stuff. It's cool.
All right.
So, today we've decided we had spent the last couple of podcast episodes talking about female empowerment.
Serious stuff.
Very serious. And we want to lighten things up because it is summertime. So today it's all about happy summer memories from your childhood, adulthood.
That's it.
Whatever you got.
Because we are from different eras, so we probably did slightly different things.
I think so,
But
probably.
I'm gonna start with
Go for
one
it.
of our commonalities.
All right, what you got, Lulu?
Our pal. We both were adventurous kids. We both were very active,
Indeed.
And he's my favorite.
Gotta love Harrison
Harry's
Ford.
my favorite. I have to say, all of the Raiders movies are pretty good.
I really enjoyed
Yeah.
them. And there's a new one out. Have you seen it yet?
I haven't. Is it in the movies?
I believe it's in the theaters. Or
Isn't it called like the final
something?
something?
I love that they brought Karen Allen back
Oh,
in
that's
it too.
great,
I love
yeah.
her, so I'm excited to see. I
Yeah,
haven't
I
seen
just
it.
saw a promo for it where he jumps out of a plane or something.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's still jumping. He's like 80.
Is he 80? I was just gonna say he's in his 70s at least.
I'm 70, almost 71. He's older than me, so he has to be close to 80 if he's not over it.
He's got some good genes, and he must eat something real good.
He
and
does.
keep
He's
up.
still looking handsome as ever.
He does. So yeah, you were starting off active childhood.
Active childhood.
So what were some of your
Well-
favorite things to do?
For me, I'm going to start in my Dorchester years, which is the 50s. Okay. So we never went out to eat. It was that thing. You were at home. You hung with your family. Big extended family. But we lived in a 3-family, and behind my house was a quarry, which, if you look at it now, it looks like it's 100 feet. Which us as kids was huge.
Yeah.
So we just went in the quarry,
Okay.
played in the quarry. I watched my brother do disgusting things like burn worms and stuff, and then I'd run or he'd kick me out. That was Dorchester, not much.
Okay.
My family built a house in Hyde Park. That changed things a lot, and I was a little older.
Okay.
So a lot of summers spent, cousins going over my grandmother's house for a week. That's how they got rid of us.
Take turns.
My aunt's house, and then they'd come over to my house. It was the 3 sisters.
Oh, that's funny.
So, yeah, we had a great time. I went to my aunt's in Brockton. It was like the big fair, the Brockton Fair, and she lived like right up the street. So every day we walked to the fair, every day. And when I turned 13, I used to try to I looked like I was 10 anyway, but I'd make myself look like I was 11 so I could get in for free.
Was it like an agricultural fair, or was it a...
Huge. It had agriculture, it had
Okay.
rides, it had a bandstand. I saw Lulu there in the bandstand.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
Lulu sang and was in To Sir with Love in
Oh,
the 60s.
okay.
She
So
was
big
pretty
deal.
popular
Oh.
in England. She was British. and that was her big claim to fame. But the Brockton Fair was known everywhere.
When you first said that, I was like, you saw yourself?
I saw myself. That's it.
I'm like, you had a
If
vision of you
only I could
older.
sing like her. And I remember it was like I was standing below the stage, and she was very young, probably 16, 17. And all I could think of was, she's got lots of zits. She had a lot of zits at the time.
Poor Lulu. As one who had a problem with adolescent acne, I feel for you, Lulu. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I have to say I was fortunate. I didn't really have
It's that beautiful
many.
Greek skin you got.
I don't know.
Telling
My
you.
cousin did. My cousin
really?
took after her mother and had really severe acne and has pock marks to this day.
Yeah, I've got those. My mom didn't have like any, and my dad was like mild, but both my brother and I got hit hard with it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do? I'm still alive.
Part of life.
It's better to be alive.
Better life. So that was the at-home version.
Okay.
And then we had a couple of side trips.
Okay. So
Side trips. But you start, and then I'll get to my side trips later.
Okay, so what we're talking about our earliest summer first, and then we're getting into some side trips.
Yep.
Okay, so the earliest.
Like, where'd you grow up?
Well, see, that's the funny thing. Being in a military family, I lived in many different places. So listening to you speak about spending time with aunts and cousins, I never had that experience until I got older and my parents came back to the States and were out of the military. But my earliest childhood memories of summertime, we lived in Germany. And we had one of those big inflatable pools we put out in front of our apartment building complex. And all the kids that lived with their military families, we'd all share the pool. And we had a playground, swing set and slide and all that. And I spent a lot of time out there doing those things. And then if it was the weekend and it's summer and my parents were off, we were traveling. We went to Germany and France and Switzerland.
It's
and
amazing. You saw
Spain.
so many things and cultures.
Yeah, so, I went to Renaissance festivals and I went to, the cuckoo clock making place. I traveled. Traveling was my earliest summer memory. Castles and cobblestone streets and all of that.
Wow.
And it was fountains and museums and very cultural experience in my earliest childhood summer memories.
Yeah, I just remembered we lived way up on a hill, and we would walk. I have to say it's like 4 or 5 miles in our bathing suits to the MDC pool, which was a public pool, and just your bathing suit and your towel and your sneakers. That
Right.
was it. We just walked there. We had a little locker, no lock on it.
Yeah.
For
just
what? I don't know.
Throw your
We didn't
sneakers
bring
in
anything.
there. Yeah.
And that was where we spent our day.
That's
But the
awesome.
walk back up the hill in that heat in August was tough.
Torture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And getting back to the whole tomboy thing.
Yeah.
It was a lot of boys on my street, and I preferred to hang with them and interrupt their baseball games and try to play. And they picked me last, but they let me play. They did.
I had similar, I guess because my brother and I are close in age. We're only 18 months apart. So we grew up as friends in addition to siblings. I mean, we squabbled, of course, like any brother and sister would do, but we shared mutual friends wherever we lived in the neighborhood. So it was always a good mixture of hanging with the boys and playing tomboy type things, or having the friend, which was a sister of somebody, that we could do some of the girlier things with, which was really nice. So I got to do a lot of bike riding and a lot of cowboys and Indians. I know that's probably not culturally appropriate to say anymore.
That's the way we grew
but
up.
that's what it was called. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we did a lot of bike riding, and actually, I guess my brother's artistic tendencies, he's a Pisces, showed. We used to put on plays in the backyard. That was a big thing.
Oh, that's fun.
We'd have crazy games and charge a penny admission and do crazy things.
Did people pay?
Oh, yeah. The kids would come in,
Oh.
he set up a stage across my mother's clothesline with sheets, and he was the
Well, that's
villain,
awesome.
and of course I was the tortured one most of the time. But when my cousins
Always the
came
way.
over, that's what we did. We staged plays.
Well, that's a lot of fun.
Because you had to find something to do in the neighborhood. You know, until the summer vacation came, and I went to my aunt's house.
Yeah, you were going to talk to me about
July.
a trip you took.
Well,
Tell me
here was
about
our
your-
big thing. So, the only away places I went as a kid, I'm going to show this one. Too bad I don't have the movies, but I'll put this up on the screen. This is 1956, 58. So I'm 6 years old. My dad, my two aunts, and one of my father's best friends, who he was very close with, owned this like home on a orchard in it was a summer house in New Hampshire, and it was a lake in the back. Was on Lake Winnipesaukee, and it was peaches, and so
nice.
August was all of that. And my dad would take us, or we just go like one a week or two in the summer, or he'd leave us there with my mother, go back to Boston. But
Lucky dad.
that was like the best thing a kid could ever do. Down the street, I don't know what it's like now, but you could walk down the street. It was Mr. I don't remember his name, who owned had cows and everything, so we'd get fresh buttermilk in the morning,
Oh, wow.
and my aunt would make pancakes. And then in the other direction, there was this old guy, must have been, I thought it was like 150, who sold honey on the comb, because he had beehives.
Oh, I bet that was delicious.
Oh, yeah. So if there was nothing on the street, but, they owned a couple of houses like around them, cottages, which they didn't really rent out. We stayed in a cottage, or this old brown house, which was in the shade with 150 million mosquitoes, and I'm not
That's
kidding.
lake life. Yep.
So my bad highlight of our New Hampshire was I was walking across the picket fence in the front, and I stepped on a yellow jacket hive.
Oh.
And back in those days, my father always had a bottle of whiskey in the trunk, so he sat me on the edge of the trunk, took his whiskey out, and poured it all over my legs.
That must have burned so bad. Oh.
Yeah. So
Ow.
that was just medicinal. It was either that or iodine.
Oh my gosh.
That's it.
Oh, did it leave scars?
Cured everything.
That sounds awful.
No, the only thing it did was throughout the years, I would get stung like here and there, and now I have a reaction
Yeah.
to it, and I have to be careful
Yeah.
because according to my doctor, it was like the more you get stung, I guess the more you're apt to be
Have a problem?
have a problem.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But I figured out what to do.
Okay.
It's kind of gross, but
You
I
got to
figured
share
it
the
out.
secrets to your success with our listeners.
I did. I figured it out. So last time I got stung was a couple of years ago. Just forgot. I put my hand where I shouldn't have to pull out some weeds, and of course, there's my friends. My arm blew up. You've seen me. You've seen
I
it
saw it.
happen.
She has like the Mickey Mouse glove for a hand. It was bad.
So yeah, this was my arm, which actually it was my hand, but it was like I went to see my
traveled
sister
up.
was traveling up, and she was horrified. She was like, "I'm taking you." So I said, "No, I think I know what to do." He's looking at
I think
me.
I know where this is going.
Well, I always wanted to be a doctor. Instead, I went into television, but I wanted to be a doctor
Well, and thanks
since I
to
could
Grey's
remember.
Anatomy, we all are doctors now.
Yes. So,
I'll tell you about my
so
doctoring.
I did. I got a little knife or something. I opened it up.
Oh.
I took all the pussy out.
Oh,
I
gross.
poured alcohol and
Some whiskey.
hydrogen peroxide,
Okay.
and it went down.
Awesome.
So I'm like, all I got to do is like
Get the venom out.
get the venom out,
Okay.
then I don't have to suffer.
There
you go.
That's brilliant.
Oh, my own surgeon. I liked it.
That's beautiful. That actually reminds me, so you were talking about a bad thing that happened in summer, memory for you, stepping in Yellow Jacket Nest. My worst summer event, my brother and I and my mom had gone to get ice cream, and we had rode our bikes, and my mom, you think I'm social and gabby, my mom is times 10 of me. She could talk to, the fence post or whatever and have a conversation. She's just friendly lady. People love her. She's got a nice smile. So she knew
That's you.
everybody. I just feel like she's even more than me. I don't know. But anyways, a friend had come out of her house, and they're standing there talking. And, of course, my brother and I think I was 7, so he would have been like 8 or 9. We're, like, bored out of our minds. We're circling around them on our bikes trying to entertain ourselves, kind of like, come on, let's go. We're bored, you know. And so he starts doing tricks on his bike and riding off the curbs and doing stuff like that. So, of course, being the little sister that I am, I'm not intimidated, and I start doing what he's doing.
Uh-oh.
And I wreck, and I fall on my arm, and it was in an S shape. I broke both of those
Ow.
2 bones, and they line up like this normally, and they went like that. So we had to drive to the hospital, which was like a half hour away. And I'm all brave in the car. I'm like, oh, it's fine. It's no big deal. Even though my fingers were like over here or whatever it was. And then the pain set in, and it was awful. And we had to sit there, and they wouldn't give me medicine. I kept asking for like aspirin, Tylenol, and they won't. They're like, nope, you can't have.
Because you're a kid?
Just in general, they make you have fluids before they give you medicine, like at a hospital. So it was agonizing. It was just really terrible. And they did put me under to snap it back in place. And so I spent the last part of my summer wearing a cast. I started a brand new school that year as a 3rd grader in a cast, and of course didn't know any friends. But the good news about being the girl in the cast is people wanted to sign it because it was white.
Yeah.
So they all signed it, and I kind of made friends that way. But that was the end of a summer for me.
That's it.
The bike wreck.
Action. You know, you get hurt. Ask him.
Ask Indy.
You get hurt. You get hurt. You got to take that risk and go flying on your bicycle
it's
and all
definitely worth
that.
it.
You get hurt.
Yeah, you know, I'm busy. I like to do things outside and have fun. So it was fine.
I would just, sprain my ankle like 16 times jumping off the steps onto the cement. Like, why would a kid do that? I don't know.
Because kids are kids.
Plus, where we lived was like, it was all apple orchards, and they sold the property, and we had apple trees in the backyard, and they were building new construction like, a street over. So we'd go, and I'd follow my brother. It's the brother thing.
The brother thing.
And he'd go down in the foundation. There was all these crazy rods sticking out. And, of course, I would get hurt. Mm-hmm. Or he'd have to pull me back up and just tell me to, why am I following him? Because I had nothing else to do, and I loved him. And he was fun.
My brother was like my best friend in the summers. So after my parents got out of the military, it was a couple years after that, they separated officially. So we would spend either time with mom or time with dad. They didn't live in the same state. It was not what you see nowadays where it's like every other weekend. It was school year, summertime, and that was it. So my mom lived in Pennsylvania at the time, so we'd spend time with her and visit my grandparents who lived there, which was really great. That was the beginning of starting to spend time with family in the summers and having that experience, which I really enjoyed, and doing the whole picnic thing and just hanging out as a family. That was great. And then sometimes my dad would take us very briefly for a week or 2 in the summer. He had to work, so it wasn't easy for him to have us all summer. My mom usually took us, but I did have a couple of really good trips with either or of them. It was never together, unfortunately, but I did get to go to Disney World for the first time with my mom one summer, and I have pictures I'll show you. We can put it up. And that's the only time I've been, and now I'm a mom with 3 kids, and I've been like dying to get my kids down there.
Oh, yeah, I go all the time, every like
so
5
fun.
years. I love Disney.
Yeah, I really want to take them.
Because I never grew up, you know that.
Well, I know she's still a kid.
Did.
For sure, that's why we get along so well, because I haven't grown up yet either. So I'm waiting to do that with them. And then the other one is my dad picked us up one summer, and we drove to Iowa first to stop and pick up. I think my granny came with us, his mom, and my Uncle John. And then we finished driving to Oklahoma to spend, I think we were there a week with family. And I'm talking like my uncles, my aunts, my cousins. And it was the first time I'd ever been there. And like, there is songs about red dirt roads in Oklahoma, and unless you have been there, you're just like, oh, that sounds like picturesque and nice and stuff. No, there really is red dirt clay roads. It's just like, it's a different world. There's big flies and bugs, and it was hotter than I can tell you.
I don't like bugs.
Yeah, but it was so cool to see how my dad grew up. We never spent a lot of time with his family. My mom's parents lived in Pennsylvania, as I mentioned, so we spent a lot of time with them because they were closer to Massachusetts, certainly, than Iowa or Oklahoma. So it was the first time I got to see my dad very relaxed, not, stressed about stuff, not working, with his cousins, with his uncles and aunts, his brothers and sisters, and like playing horseshoes and just having drinks and laughing, playing cards and just having fun. And it was a nice trip to see my dad so relaxed and surrounded by his family for the first time. So I really enjoyed that, and that stuck with me all these years.
Yeah, we're lucky we have siblings that were close in age, because a lot of kids didn't have that. I think that's why, my mother and my aunts were all about getting us all together in the summer so we wouldn't be bored and get out of their hair, because that's what we did. You played outside, and you heard it's absolutely true. You came in when it was dark. That was supper time, or that's all you heard in my neighborhood was every kid's name being screamed by their mother out the back door, because and if we were told not to go out, of course, we did on bikes. I lived in, like I said, near the Blue Hills, so we used to take our bikes and go up to the Blue Hills and go places we shouldn't have gone. But then there was a pond that we could go swim in, but that wasn't very
Clean?
No, it was clean. It was kind of dangerous because it had
dark.
drop-offs in it.
Oh, okay.
And I was afraid my brother would go with his, when he got older, but I didn't do it because I was too, scared. But I did. Speaking of my brother and the pool, we used to go to the MDC pool because I was a little kid and he did something and I did something. We were 3 years apart. So he went off the high diving board, and I figured, so would I. Okay.
Is this going to be a bathing suit coming off story?
First of all, it's like the longest climb up the stairs. If I saw it now, it would probably be no big deal. But it was, not the low one and the pool, the high one. So it's like 6 feet above the water. And I'm little and I'm skinny and, I'm like standing now on the edge of the thing wondering what the heck. So I jump off, hold my breath. It was the longest way to the water. And then when I went in, because it's the deep end, it was like my feet didn't touch the ground. So I'm like, you better do something because there's no floor. So I was like pushing the water and kicking my feet.
Oh my goodness.
So that was the first and last time I ever went off the high diving board. But
I have never been
Follow
off
my brother.
a high diving board because they are scary. I'm with you 100%. I'm afraid I'm going to break my neck if I try and dive off one of those.
I guess I would try anything once.
Yeah, so we did the pools too. I always liked the water slide, and I would do flips off the edge of the pool and stuff like that. Low to the ground things, I was fine.
Flips, you could have hurt yourself.
Oh, I didn't think of it back then. I would backflip off the side of the pool.
Oh my God, I would never backflip. See, things I wouldn't do.
So water, that's a huge thing for summer, right? We loved and lived in the water, my brother and I. Even my mom lived in Texas for a few years, so she lived in Houston. Talk about hot. Oh, my goodness. It was awful. So you'd get up and go outside. It was already like 80-something at 7 in the morning. And they had an outdoor pool.
I was going to say, everybody must have had pools.
So they had one where she lived. She lived in a big apartment complex because my stepfather was still in the military, and it wasn't permanent that they were going to be there. He was stationed, so it was just, temporary. But they had a pool. It was like bath water. It was so warm in the pool. And they had a hot tub, and I just laughed. I'm like, who would ever use a hot tub? And my mom's like, well, in December and January, people will come and sit out there, because it doesn't occur to me their pools and hot tubs are still open in Houston that time of year, I'm like, oh, right, that makes sense. But we spent a lot of time swimming, doing stuff like that. But I got to try fun stuff I had never done, like paddle biking. So like a bicycle on pontoons.
Paddle bike. Oh.
Yeah, and you paddle in a river. Have you ever done that?
Well, there used to be a park years and years ago where now it's a hotel, I guess. I can't remember the name of it. But it was up sort of in the south shore, I would say. near Newton, actually, up there. And they had a lake. I don't know if it was man-made, and they had those pontoon boats, so we used to do that, those paddle boats. You know, just two-seater where you just sit in and you just paddle away. And, you know, again, that's my memory. You know, it's like time to go home, and my brother is, my mother's shouting for my brother, screaming his name. Nowhere to be found. She's getting worried.
Is he out in the lake?
And we look up on the Ferris wheel, and there he is.
Oh. Having a good time.
Always, yeah.
You know, what's summer without a fair or an amusement park of some kind?
That's what we did.
I did that a lot, too. We had, like, the county fairs that would come through, and we did that.
Now you can't let kids go alone, but we all went, you know, in a group. We didn't go alone, but I went with my cousins, with my brother.
Yeah, I don't think I was ever alone in the sense that I had a parent somewhere
You
there.
had a parent?
But my brother and I would go off
not us.
and ride stuff and play games and stuff. But there was always somebody at the fair that we could reconnect with. We weren't there alone.
That's a real difference in the times, because back in the 50s, 60s, you know, parents didn't worry about their kids. They didn't think. We went out and played all day. It was get out, go out and play. And we were little. I was like 4 or 5 years old. I'm walking the streets of Dorchester. It's true, going by myself, trying to find my brother. You know, but they didn't worry. It was very safe. All the neighbors knew each other. And took care of each other's kids too. They watched out for you.
I told you about summers in Germany. Yeah. So I was probably about 4, somewhere in there, maybe even younger. And we were in the Black Forest, and my parents were cuckoo clock shopping, and they had made friends with Bruni and JJ Brunhilde. She was from Germany, and her husband. Yep, and her husband JJ. He was in the military as well, so they spoke English very well, and of course she was native German, so she would kind of interpret things for us, and we would travel with them so that we could really enjoy Germany while we were there. Because my parents couldn't speak German fluently; they knew some words and things, but. They wanted to look at cuckoo clocks. Bruni and JJ came for the trip, and so my mother and father had my brother with them at the cuckoo clock shop, and Bruni and JJ had me or something to that effect, and they thought I was with this person. They thought I was with that person. You know how the story goes. Well, it turns out Jennifer, Josie, decided, the cat's out of the bag. No, Josie decided to walk up the street because there had been a toy shop I had spotted earlier, and they had those big colorful pinwheels in the window, and I wanted one.
Floated off.
So I wandered off.
Kids do that.
Sat outside the toy store, but I was missing for like a half an hour in a foreign country with a language I don't speak. Didn't understand.
Bad Josie.
Yes, sitting by myself, and everyone frantically searching for me and asking, have you seen this girl? Now, I was cute, too. I was a little blonde-haired, smiley, happy, cute. Like, they thought somebody had snatched me. So I can't imagine you wandering around Dorchester.
Because I know one of the pictures there has, like, one of your little childhood faces. You were trouble. You were cute and trouble.
Yes, my brother and I would make faces at each other in the car as entertainment. And hey, you said something gross earlier.
That's entertainment.
I got something gross for you. So we spent a lot of time in the car. We didn't fly, other than, going to Europe, but domestically speaking, driving to Iowa or Oklahoma or Pennsylvania, South Carolina to visit, we were in the car. So we would be sitting in the back seat, trapped together for long periods of time. And this was the age before video games. We had a book. Yeah. We look out windows. There was only so much a kid could do. Sing. So we developed this game where we'd put our arms on the roof. We'd take turns of the car and tickle each other's armpits until we laughed. And we would time it to see who laughed first.
That was very clever, very creative. But that's it. You had to. There was no toys, no nothing. It's like use your imagination. Mm-hmm. That's it. I remember when I was a little kid, we'd go. Sunday was my father's day off because he owned a store and he worked 7 days a week, God knows how many hours, never saw the man. But Sunday he was like, I'm home. Yeah. But every Sunday we'd go pick up my grandparents in Brockton, and everybody piled in my father's old Buick, and I was always in the back seat sitting on somebody's lap because I was little. with my father smokes with the smell of cigars
Rolling out the
and
window.
closed windows because my mother's hair would blow away and it was all sprayed in place,
Oh,
back in
no.
the
Yeah.
closed windows and chicken in the trunks. And honest to God, that's all you could do. We had to stop every mile. One of us had to puke. It was the addition of the gross things, but we went.
Oh my
And
goodness.
stopped at which we later lived near the Blue Hills. They had a spring. They used to get water
Nice.
from the spring, and we just pull off the side of the road and have a picnic.
Okay, we
My
did
mother's
that.
roast chickens.
We did that. We had the picnics on the side of the
Yeah.
road or at places, and it saved a lot of money instead of stopping at the
Saved
fast
a lot
food.
of money, and it was like you were always with family. That was the
Right.
thing. Family was very important in my culture too.
Yeah, I really got a sense of that as we returned and spent more time with my grandparents. And he's actually my mom's cousin, but he was a later in life baby, so he's closer to my brother and I's age, so we'd spend time with him. And I really, really appreciated having those experiences as I got older. And I've kind of focused on that as I'm older with my children and getting together with the cousins and the aunts and the uncles.
Yeah, you
and,
try to do that. I know you do.
Yeah,
Try to
yeah.
keep it together.
and still do those big family trips and drive to crazy places. And
Yeah, you're still young. You could do all that.
we took a big road trip to Iowa in 2019. I think it was 2018.
Iowa.
Yes,
Can't
we drove
even imagine.
22 hours.
Ooh.
And what was
Goodness.
great is my father and my stepmother were in a car, my brother, his wife and kids, me and my husband and kids, and we all caravanned out there and got to see so much family and see my grandmother, and it was just so much fun to do
Old
that.
fashioned, but you brought you
Yeah.
back
Yeah,
to
it
that
did.
kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, I stayed in a camper on a campground and everything. It was just fun. It was just laid back and I don't know, just what childhood
Childhood
should
fun.
be. Childhood
That's all.
fun, yeah.
That's it.
So, okay, you talked about some of your early memories. Do you have, did you have a summer fling or summer romance?
Well, that happened later. So we all went to the cousins' houses, and then my uncle, who was divorced, had two kids, my cousins. I'll just call them J and F.
Okay.
And they he took them every summer to Onset.
Mm-hmm.
He rented a house and all of that. And then one summer, and my other cousins, my uncle married a woman who was divorced and had two kids, but they were our cousins. They were little.
Mm-hmm.
And we all went. My uncle started taking me in this tiny little house, because that's what he could afford when it started. So to Onset, that was the beginning of us going to Onset in the summer. I was very fortunate to do that, and I have a picture of my brother in it because my mother was visiting and my other cousin. But that's it. We're in a boat, and you could see I am a little hellion by this stage. I'm about 12, and that was the beginning of it. And then my other cousins wanted to come, so it ended up being like my uncle would take 6 kids.
Into this little
6
cottage.
kids. No, we got bigger houses.
Oh, okay.
My mother started chipping. My other uncle chipped in so we could have this big, huge house a walk from the
nice.
water, and that continued till later on, like 12 till I went to college, like 17. So I did have a little romantic fling, and my uncle caught me kissing a boy on the beach and just yelled my name. He saw me going down. I thought I was hot because I had a pink and green polka dotted bikini.
Oh.
Well, it was a 2-piece. I wouldn't call it a bikini. It was really, low.
Like a tankini?
Yeah, so I was like 14, 15, and I thought I was something. And I had a pink and green polka dot hat to match my 2-piece, they called
Itty
it.
bitty yellow polka
So
dot.
it covered your navel.
Okay.
That was the 2-piece.
Okay.
So it was a broad top and it covered your navel. It was appropriate, and he would follow follow me because I was a teenager, and he knew I was getting myself in trouble.
I guess you were.
But the best thing, that was my crazy summer.
Mm-hmm.
I also met a boy whose name was Savage. I never knew his real name.
Oh, no.
And, you know, there was like big stories made up about him. He wore leather jackets. So he had a Z on his forehead carved by a knife. He wore hats
for
and
real?
never saw it. Never saw it.
Oh, these are the rumors about him.
Yeah, there was,
Okay.
but of course I ended up with the bad boy
Bad
and
boy.
got caught again kissing.
How old were you then?
About 16,
Okay.
15, 16, something like that.
That's so
And then
funny.
this was all in one summer. I don't know, I looked good that summer. So then I had these twin boys who used to, they weren't very bright, cute little boys, tall, and they used to go by my house, both of them, and yell my name, yell Lorraine, which wasn't my name, and they'd yell Lorraine. It was like crazy, but I ended up with this boy from Springfield because I fell in love with him
Oh.
at 16, and
Okay.
my 14-year-old cousin fell in love with him too,
Uh-oh.
and that was the not good.
What was that? Did you share a room with this cousin?
Yeah.
What was that
That's
like?
It was not good. That's all I got. I love her dearly.
No.
We're all
Just
grown
tell
up
me
now, but
whatever
you know,
his
it
name
was not good.
didn't play you two against each other, because then he'd be a really bad boy. He didn't flirt with both of you, did he?
Kind of.
Oh man.
Well, when we were kids, you know. So, but he kept in touch with her and wrote to her, and yeah, and you know, it was just like stupid.
Oh no.
And it put sort of a, you know, bridge. or
I guess it
something,
did.
Not a bridge, but
Yeah.
something between us
For a little while. Is
for
it
a
over?
long time.
Oh.
Long time.
Wow.
I don't know.
Summer loves.
Well, we love each other.
You know?
Yeah.
They can have lasting effects.
That was the best summer ever because I never, you know, never dated at home.
Mm-hmm.
It was a whole different thing. My brother kept me away from his friends because he didn't want me hanging around.
Okay.
So, you know, it was like nothing.
Mm.
And then I'd go to Onset, and I had all this
You were
attention.
free.
This attention. And wearing my little two-piece bathing suits, strutting around with my uncle saying, "Oh, good Lord." She's all grown up. Oh, my goodness.
Oh gosh, I started that before I was grown up.
You were? Yeah.
Oh, I was a big
I was a late
flirt.
bloomer.
Oh, I had a boyfriend in kindergarten.
Kindergarten?
Yep.
I could see that.
In third grade, I
Flirty
had
girl.
a boy give me his mother's real engagement ring.
What?
Yep.
He stole it?
I guess she didn't wear it. You know, she probably wore the wedding band and kept the engagement ring
And
in
it
a
didn't
jewelry
fit her
box
anymore
or
or
whatever. And him and I, you know, we liked each other. I'll say his name with a C. And anyways, he was like, "I'm going to bring you in a ring." And I thought it was going to be, you know, like one of those bubblegum machine quarter rings.
Oh, the cigar rings.
It was really pretty. It was a diamond. I didn't know. I still thought it was a fake, because who gives them, you know.
Did you bring it
So
home?
I brought it home, and my parents found out because the school called to say that they were pretty sure Josie took a ring home, not on purpose, but that C had brought it in and given it to her. But lo and behold, it's his mother's engagement ring, and she would like it back.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, so that was the first time I got an engagement ring.
I wonder if he got punished for that one.
I hope not. He was really sweet. He was a nice boy. And then I had...
She probably moved her jewelry box up high.
I hope so, yeah. I think he was really embarrassed, because after that, we kind of like distanced from each other after that. I think both of us were just kind of ashamed and embarrassed, even though, you know, we didn't know. And then there was this other boy, you were talking about summer and kissing on the beach, and his mother was really good friends with my mother, and she had two boys that were ages close to me and my brother, so we all hung out together. And he and I had little crushes on each other, but we didn't want our brothers to know because it was the four of us, and we were supposed to be friends, all of us, and we spent a lot of time together, all of us. So when we'd go down to the lake and we'd be swimming out in the water, we'd go underwater to smooch. and then come back up, but nobody would know, because it was under the water and everything
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
like no one
I
could
think
see
I was
you.
like 8 or 9 at the time.
Bad little girl. I didn't do any of that.
Oh my gosh,
I was like
Oh.
15, my first kiss.
Well, what's really funny about that, I guess I was really stealthy because as I've gotten older, and my parents know the Shower Curtain Bandit, of course, we're married, we have children. They both thought that he was my first real relationship that I ever had, and they have no idea about boyfriends.
But you look so innocent, Josie. You look like,
Summer loves and
look at you
things.
with the flower in your hair. But you're trouble.
I guess so, yeah. I guess
Not anymore, but
Not anymore.
you were.
I don't know. I was.
But you also met your husband really young,
I
so
did.
that put it into.
It did. I had a few
Into it.
summer crushes before him that were really sweet and just ended because it was like, well, back to school, back to wherever, and that was it. But yeah, no, I had my fun.
You did.
Fun in the
Started at
sun.
5. She started at 5.
Engaged at 8.
Engaged at 8. Had children at what,
I
17?
was 20
You
when
were 20 when you had children? I
when
thought
my
you were
first was
18.
born. Nope. I met the Shower Curtain Bandit at 18, but we didn't start dating until I was 19, and then our son was
So you're-
born when
you
I
were
was 20.
And now you're in your 30s,
I will be
so you have older
38
kids.
this September.
Yeah.
Yep. And my
Yeah.
oldest is going to be a senior in high school this year.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
You're a mover.
I'm a mover.
Yeah, she
Life
does
is
things
short.
early and frequently.
Life is that sounds really bad. But it does make me want to say girls just want to have fun.
That's it. Girls just want to have fun. That's the She Show.
Okay. So we're coming close to our signature signing off time. Do you have anything that you want to share about your best vacation as an adult or most memorable summer? Anything about
As
before
an
we
adult.
wrap up? I think we're going to wrap up the She Show for the summer and come back with season 2 in September.
Yeah, it's vacation
We got
time.
vacations
Taking
coming.
August off.
So what do you want to leave us with? What's a good
Well,
Lulu
I have
thing?
to say, one of my most memorable, and I did travel a lot as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Spain a couple of times. I went to Martinique, which I won't talk about because that was like, trouble.
Sealed records.
But I always wanted to go see where my father lived because I think I mentioned it before. He was from a little nothing village in Greece and dirt floor houses and that kind of thing and outhouses and all of that. And when he came to America and was successful, all the men got together and put water in the village and built a church and all of that. So I did get to go with my siblings.
Oh, how nice.
My older brother, who was great, he took us, drove everywhere. And because it was a family thing, and then we went to where my mother was born in a port called Pilos, and that was a really fantastic, once again, with family, drove from one end of Greece to the other, went to an island. It was cool.
That's awesome.
That's I'd say that's a memorable one for me because family was involved. I got to meet cousins I never knew. They didn't speak English.
Good
I
thing you went to
spoke
Greek
broken
school.
Greek. Huh?
Well, I said it's a good thing you went to Greek school a bit and you knew.
Yeah, broken Greek, but how the heck he was the first cousin of mine. I never met him before.
Wow.
But I was about 50,
That's a
or
great
20 years ago.
That's a
Yeah.
great thing to do.
Yeah, that was cool.
That's very
You're
cool.
most memorable.
Well, I've had, several trips with the kids over the summer and the Shower Curtain Bandit, which have been great. But I'm going to say that one of my more memorable and fun ones was when we went alone together. So since we were so young when we got together, we don't have a whole lot of experience pre-children and marriage. So we're waiting for the kids to get a little bit older, go off to their respective lives to travel together and do some of those things. Like we both really want to go to Ireland because we have a lot of Irish history and Scotland and etc. But at any rate, we did sneak away one summer, just the two of us for a weekend. It was a really short trip, but we drove through New York, Pennsylvania, down the Blue Ridge Mountains in Virginia. We had planned to go all the way down to North Carolina, but we didn't make it that far because we ended up heading back east to stop in and see my mother and come back up. But one of the nights we were staying at a campground in Pennsylvania, and it poured. And we had one of those little pop-up tents, and we had a inflatable mattress, and we were floating like it was a raft by the morning because all the water
Really?
had pooled into the tent. Because we both didn't know it was going to rain, and we didn't put the rain protection
Oh, no.
stuff up. And it was like a last minute
You was
thing.
soaked?
Oh, soaked. And like I said, the bed was floating like it was a raft, and everything in the tent was soaked, and I was just laughing hysterically. And it rained all that day, and the shower curtain bandit, popped up the hood of our car at the time because it was a hatchback, and we stood under that and used this little camp grill to make breakfast, and it's just dumping buckets all over us. And it was just so much fun.
It was fun.
It was just a great trip, and I just
Another
really liked
adventure.
it. Yeah, I'm all about the
Life
adventures.
is an adventure.
And I like when unexpected things happen.
That's
I think
right.
that's more fun than anything. So,
It is. Makes life interesting.
well, let's hope we have unexpected pleasures this summer.
Let's make some new memories.
Make some new. We're
Well,
gonna go
I'm,
make some.
you know,
we're gonna go
I
have
live-
some lunch.
I live a walk from the beach, so I've fulfilled my childhood desires. I can see Onset across from where I live,
Sorry,
across
my
the bay.
headset just
So
keeps
I came
sliding
back.
off my head here. There we go.
I came back.
You came back. Yeah.
Came back.
It's a beautiful thing.
That's it.
Well, happy summer to you, Lulu.
Happy summer, Josie. Happy summer to you guys.
And we'll see you in September.
I'm not going to try to sing.
That was horrible.
beautiful.
No.
Okay. On that note,
That's it.
she done. See ya.